clairement attendu par une large communauté de joueurs dans le monde, Halo 4 nous a été présenté il y a quelques semaines par le directeur de la franchise, Frank O'Connor. L'occasion pour nous d'avoir un peu plus de détails sur ce titre et de poser quelques questions concernant le changement de studio. En effet, après plusieurs années de bons et loyaux services, Bungie Software, le développeur historique de la série, a cédé sa place à 343 Industries. Une situation qui a certainement dû générer pas mal de pression du côté du nouveau studio.
You know, Bungie created this really great legacy for us, in incredibly high standards to follow, and that's obviously been a tremendous pressure. Fans expect us to make a game that is responsible and faithful to that legacy, and that's been very challenging. But the flip side of that is that Bungie also created an amazing universe and amazing technology for us to build on those foundations and hopefully build a Halo game that people feel is a legitimate successor to Halo 3. And we feel pretty good about it now, and when we put it in people's hands, they seem to be having fun. But we won't really know until November 6th when the game is out in the wild and people are really playing it and enjoying it in large numbers. There's a lot of pressure from fans to make a better Halo game, and there's pressure from the media to make a game that lives up to the legacy that the previous games had established. But the biggest pressure comes from the internally at the studio. You have, you know, almost 300 people from some of the best studios in the world, from all over the world. And all they want to do is pour their passion and their talent and their drive and their ambition into making the best game they possibly can. And that's true at all good studios, is that the most pressure comes from the team itself, trying to outdo whatever it is they did last, and constantly trying to improve and hone and make better the things that make a classic Halo game. And of course the challenge is improving it and evolving it while staying true to the core principles that make it such a cool game.
Afin d'apporter un nouveau souffle à une série qui en quelque sorte en avait besoin, cet Halo 4 introduit une nouvelle race d'extraterrestres. Des nouveaux ennemis qui demanderont donc aux joueurs de revoir ses approches et ses habitudes, les Covenants n'étant plus les seuls à en vouloir à Master Chief.
We were building a new Halo game. We had to build a new villain. We've been fighting the Covenant for 10 years now, and it was time to shake things up, to be honest. And the Prometheans are that villain. They're a race of warriors from the ancient Forerunner past, reawakened by the very arrival of Master Chief on this planet Requiem. And they're a very different beast to the Covenant. I think where the Covenant was tactical and aggressive, and they still are, and you're still fighting them. The Prometheans are more defensive and a little bit more thoughtful. They collaborate with each other, so you'll be shooting away at crawlers, for example, and Watchers will come over and shield the crawlers while Knights flank you. And Knights are able to spawn Watchers from their backs and sort of change the battlefield organically in this sort of constantly evolving type of combat. And I think that with previous Halo games, I always knew roughly how I was going to approach any given situation. If I saw Jackal snipers, I'd take them first and then deal with the elites and then maybe clean up the grunts later. With the Prometheans, you can't do anything as predictable as that because they change so much, and because they also adapt to your behavior. If they see you repeating patterns, they're going to call you on it, and they're going to make things very difficult for you. And I've been cautioning people to try it on normal first, whereas they might normally have tried those levels on heroic. It's definitely worth a little practice on normal before you roll up your sleeves and go into the tougher modes.
L'un des points mis en avant durant la présentation était tout le travail effectué sur l'IA ennemie. Et avec une nouvelle race, équipée de nouvelles armes et de nouvelles tactiques de combat, on imagine que cela n'a pas dû être facile.
So building the artificial intelligence for the Prometheans was obviously massively challenging. They're very smart, they're defensive, they're clever, they're sneaky even, and they exhibit all those behaviors in the game. And the way that they work as force multipliers for each other, the way that Watchers can make the crawlers more difficult to combat and sort of expand the Knights' abilities and shield each other and so on, that's a huge challenge for any AI programmer. But where it's doubled and maybe even quadrupled is when they interact with the Covenant. At the start of the game, they're fighting against the Covenant. They don't want the Covenant on their planet. Something happens about a third of the way through the game that changes all of that, and the two sides start to cooperate. So when you get into combat later in the game, you're seeing this incredible variety of AI behaviors that are super complex and frankly above my pay scale.
Si la série est aussi populaire, c'est en grande partie grâce à sa dimension multi qui a su séduire des millions de joueurs à travers le monde. Pour le coup, Halo 4 se pointe avec un multi rempli de nouvelles idées, notamment en termes d'évolution de personnages, qui se rapproche de ce que l'on peut voir dans un Battlefield ou un Call of.
The multiplayer in Halo 4 has been significantly changed. I mean, the number one change is that we've added a significant career progression model. So kind of like an RPG, you can obviously change your appearance. You can do that in the Reach, and it's cool. And you do it through gaining experience and points to do it. But we've also added a loadout system that you can customize and unlock elements that feed into that. So you can eventually unlock abilities, weapons, and sort of tactical advantages that will. They definitely change the way your player behaves and feels, but it's a very subtle tuning. It's not like you're just trying to unlock rocket launchers for everyone. It's more about finding methods and models that apply to the style of play that you prefer. So if, for example, you're a really skilled marksman, you're going to want to unlock a DMR and maybe use one of the abilities that lets you reload faster and so on and so on. If you're a great driver, there are certain loadouts and powers that you can give your player that enhance that, but in very subtle ways. It's not like you're going to be out in the battlefield and suddenly notice that someone is very, very different and very overpowered compared to you. The battlefield and the balance will still be there, but you'll feel better about your Spartan and you'll feel like you're in a little bit more control of your style of play.
En termes de multi toujours, Halo 4 proposera gratuitement des missions coop dans le cadre du mode Spartan Ops qui auront pour but d'enrichir l'univers et qui seront présentées à la manière d'une série.
Spartan Ops is almost done. All of the gameplay is finished and tested. It's really, we're working on finishing off the fictional part of the series, which is a very high quality CG technique, and we're building it just like a TV series, so we'll start airing it and we'll still be in production even as the first episodes air, which is just how a lot of TV series models work. But it's nearly done, and it's actually really, we've been watching and improving and sort of making last minute edits to the first episodes, and that's what I'm going to be doing when I get back from this trip, is finishing off the Spartan Ops fiction. So yeah, it's nearly done.
Prévu pour le 6 novembre prochain, on espère maintenant que ce Halo 4 arrivera à nous surprendre dans le bon sens, et on vous promet une critique dans les normes à l'occasion d'un 101% à venir.